Eastern Shore Talk, where peace begins. We talk life, love, and what's within. Movies, healing, self-care flow. Real talk, safe space, let it grow. Eastern Shore Talk, where hearts unwind. Sip your peace, speak your mind. Eastern Shore Talk, feel the vibe. It's your moment, come alive.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to Eastern Shore Talk, your podcast for all things self-care and movies. If it's your first time tuning in, welcome. We're glad to have you. If you are watching on YouTube, please click like, hit subscribe, and leave a comment below. If you're listening on one of the other podcast platforms, follow, subscribe, and leave a comment or a review. This is a big time help to us. It'll help get the AI will boost the how high our request line will be on any of the podcast platforms, so it's a big help to us. This is episode 89, and I'm Jay Watson.
And I'm Cathy Castle.
And Cathy and I have decided to kind of do a fun episode this week entirely dedicated to movies. We've been doing some kind of heavier, serious topics here the last several weeks, so we're going to do the whole entire episode based on movies, but more specifically, like our favorite movies and why they're our favorite movies, and kind of explain how, the self-care and movie connection and why the reasons why they're our favorites, how that's tied to self-care and the movies themselves, and we'll kind of all wrap that up in a neat little holiday package for everybody. But yeah, so we just thought we'd have a little fun. But real quick, before we start doing that, let's do a little quick check-in. So what's going on with the Castle?
Hey. So we had a whole house load. My brother came to town and his family, and we did waterfowl and walking all around and eating all the things. And he used to be a former pub employee like myself, so he hadn't been back there since the new opening. So yeah, so that was fun. But when you do those kind of things, it's just like a lot of entertaining and cleaning and cooking. So we're a little tired today, but glad to be tired. Glad to bring family in.
Was the turnout good at waterfowl? I mean, the traffic and all it just seemed like from the outskirts looking in, it seemed like it was
I
pretty
don't
well
even know.
attended.
It seemed like it was pretty packed. I forgot to pay my subscription to the newspaper, so I didn't read any articles on it yet. But yeah, it seemed like there was a lot of people around. The weather was certainly decent.
Yeah, it was a little windy, but yeah, wasn't. It's
Yeah,
funny. It's either like really cold and windy, or it's like 70 degrees. It's like it's like no in between.
Yeah, I don't know why we're all of a sudden like a windy city, but we've become one, right?
Yeah, it's like it seems like since September it's just been windy like most days.
But I think it was windy all spring. So crazy. But anyway, how about you?
Yeah, I've never been talking about waterfowl. I've never been a waterfowl person, but I used to make a point of right there in front of the courthouse. I think it's the Lions Club
Yeah,
and a couple others have like the raw
good.
oysters and oyster stew. I used to make a point on Saturday. I haven't done it in years to go grab a thing of oyster stew and just sit on the hay bales and just watch people because I love oysters
I still got the hay bales.
except for raw. Yeah, I love oysters. But yeah, I used to do that. That was my thing because none of the other. I mean, I think I could probably get into watching the dock dogs and the retriever demonstrations, but I'm not really into the goose and duck calling competitions or the art, that kind of thing. I guess I've never. I don't even remember, Cathy, that the last time I went, if there was maybe the music was over by the Tidewater and I didn't hear it because I was right there by. I'd never really go anywhere else other than by the courthouse when I did go, so I never
Yeah, the
remember
music's
any music.
down there by it's down yeah, it is by the Tidewater Avalon, that Four Corners. Yeah.
Gotcha. So yeah, that's
They have
probably why I don't remember. Yeah, I mean it's great for the community. I'm close enough where I'm at here in my apartment, close enough to town where there are people that parked on my street. Now,
mm,
granted, I have off-street parking. It where the church is, if there are cars parked on either side of the street, you can't go side by side. Traffic can't get by. You can only let
uh,
one. one lane goes. So traffic backs up towards the firehouse. So I have to
Oh,
catch
wow.
one of those side streets and come around if that's the case. So it's a little bit, Saturday was a little bit tougher to get home
Yeah.
from the gym and all because traffic was backed up almost to Creamery Lane. So I had to wait for that first road and come the back way and come down my alley the other way. So yeah, and I don't really remember. Of course, I know this is only my second waterfowl that I lived here. I don't remember it last year. That's why I asked if it would seem to be more crowded because I don't seem to remember my street having cars parked this far.
Yeah. I wonder if something changed, like a venue or something. Who knows?
I was wondering if there wasn't something going on in the church's old parish, the old St. Peter Paul church. I live across the street, the old parish hall. I wondered if it maybe wasn't related
I
to
know
the
there was a wine tent up the street a little by that old bank that's going to be a funeral home. There was a that place was utilized, that building.
there
You
was
know
a
what I'm
there's
talking
a
about? Used to be a bank.
which one are you talking about? You talking about the old
The one that used to have the fountain that everybody put suds
oh
in
yeah,
back
old
then.
Bank of America. Yeah.
Yeah. That was
It's
that
on
was
it's on the yeah, it's on the corner of Goldsboro and Harrison Street. Yes.
so maybe that some more traffic your way.
Yeah. But I saw a PNC banner on it as they were setting up the other day. So I thought, oh, maybe PNC's moving in there because it was a bank. But you're saying it's
I
going to be
thought
a
I heard
funeral home.
funeral home, but
I don't really know what was there. Bank of America was up on the other corner on
yeah,
up
I don't
further.
remember what was there. But I do remember
Drug Trust was there for a while.
they took the fountain out because people kept
Yeah,
putting bubbles.
they were putting colored bubbles. It was kind of cool sometimes,
I
like
know. I was sad.
for green bubbles for St. Patrick's Day, stuff like that. That was kind of cool. But
Took the fun away.
yeah, I have officially put my Christmas decorations up at the
Cool.
store. I've officially turned Sirius XM on permanently at the store. So I've been listening to Christmas music at the store since this past Friday.
I got a new 2025 Christmas new song that I like.
What's that?
Luke Bryan and Ella Langley singing Winter Wonderland.
Huh.
Look it up. She's got such a, they're country, but she's got such and I know that's not your thing. She's just got such a cool voice. Check them out.
My trivia question is Christmas music related today.
Uh, I,
It's kind of a fun. So yeah, that's kind of it. I got some exciting things to share with everyone about what I watched lately because I was telling you before we popped on that I did an eight episode straight binge yesterday and I stayed up to 1 o'clock in the morning watching this series. So
so
I'm
fun.
excited to share about that. But we're going to talk about movies all episode for the first 45 minutes or so. We're going to talk about um, just some of our favorite movies. I just wrote, and I could probably have written down 100, but I just kind of thought of 10 or 12 myself. Just I didn't put them in any order because I can't rank them, but
Can't write.
I just thought we would talk about some. I'm curious to see if we've got some of the same movies. Probably.
And I learned a lot about myself. I have some patterns.
Mine, I have like two or three different patterns within the 12, 11 or 12 that I've written down. I've got one that kind of just came to me that I hadn't really thought about for a while. That I'm like, yeah, I love that movie. You'll be a little surprised at that one, I think, because I don't think I've ever mentioned it.
Yeah, I've learned some things.
So yeah,
So
we're going to talk about like some of our favorite movies, but more specifically, we're going to talk, and we have probably, if we don't have some of the same movies on our lists, I'm sure that both of us have probably seen the same movie, the movies that are on the other person's list, so we can,
right.
you know,
And I thought about it. It's like, okay, it's not. I mean, we've now lived we've lived half our life because we're gonna live to very old, Jay. But we've been exposed to a lot of things. But it's funny how I think you come back to again patterns or comfort movies that you could watch and watch and watch and watch over again for the reasons you want, whatever makes you feel good or makes you forget about things. And that's a whole purpose of having movies as self-care because you can have a really wild time going on, but you could sit in front of that TV and watch, and you know how this movie's going to end, but it just takes you, it just is a reset or takes you out of the chaos.
And what's cool, Kathy, is I have different genres of movies, and they have elicited different emotions within me. But I can enjoy movies under different genres, and they still bring me joy and entertain me for those 2 hours. And they're all self care. Some of them are just, although probably our favorites are tend to be have a little bit more meaning to us for whatever reason. But you can just simply watch a movie for 2 hours just to distract yourself, and there's value in that. But with our favorites, there's a specific reason why we feel a certain way about different movies, and there's different reasons, and so we're
And
going
you
to
know
get into
what's
that.
cool about movies, or what you did last night, that streaming binge, is like, I feel like nobody can bother you. When you know I'm going to sit here and at least for 90 minutes, I am committed to pure selfish me, and nobody can really necessarily bother me. That's how I feel when I watch stuff like that. I'm excited about it. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, I started. Well, I'll get into that when we get to that segment of the
I want to
podcast.
know too, though, if you think you found some things out about yourself. Like, there's one thing in particular that I would have said, nope. But the more I looked at my list, I'm like, yep.
Well, there. I mean, a couple of them have things in common, but there, there is kind of a somewhat of a common theme, but there are different types of movies on the list for sure. If that makes
Oh yeah,
sense.
me too, me too. But they run into probably 4 or 5
Yeah,
pattern.
yeah. All
And
right.
that's not to say we don't like other things, because we
Yeah.
do.
Good gosh, Kathy. I've seen more movies than most people, and I could
And
have.
I can't rank these just like you can't,
Yeah.
because it's one's an apple, one's an orange. But if it's like, okay, if you're putting me on the island with Wilson, and that's not one of my movies, which one are you taking with you
Yeah.
with your solar panel DVD player? Which DV movies are you stuck with? Yeah.
All right, Kath, I'm going to let you go first. What's the first one on your list?
That's so hard. I can't do that. Okay. I don't know what to do. I'm just going to go with what I put first, but it doesn't mean it's first,
Yeah.
right? And it's sort of a two, but two different movies in that spot. So the first one I said, believe it or not, and we have talked about this movie on this podcast with Liza, is My Best Friend's Wedding
Mm. Yeah.
with Julia Roberts, and then God, what's the guy that I love? I loved him young. I want him to dye his hair back.
Dermot Mulroney.
I love that guy in movies.
Yeah.
For some reason, I love that guy in movies. He's just a solid character, but I love that movie. And then that got me thinking in that same realm.
But what is it specifically about that movie that you're like, man, this just like I love it
Yeah,
because of dot dot dot.
well, it's a light movie. I think it's light, and there's one thing I discovered about myself is I like rom-coms. I do. I like rom-coms. And I wanted Julia Roberts to get the guy, and she didn't, but I like some of that. I like some of that competition, like, you're gonna get the guy. I'm rooting for somebody to get the guy. Sometimes it's not, in that particular movie, she didn't get the guy. So then I want a part two where they get divorced, Cameron Diaz, and then Julia gets the guy. That's what I'd like some resolution to my problem there. But
So real
and
quick, Kathy,
the music's fun. It's fun. It's a fun, light. Anyway.
not to interrupt you, but real quick, Teresa Price, one of our class of '85 classmates, commented. She said, "Failure to Launch and Twister are tied for first place on her list." And Failure to Launch was partially filmed here in the area.
Huh.
Matthew McConaughey and Sarah Jessica Parker down in Oxford. Part of that movie was filmed down in Oxford.
That's interesting that those would be. I wouldn't have picked those for her.
Now,
I know her a
I'm
little
going
bit.
to ask her.
Yeah. Is it because John Bon Jovi has a song in any of those? He doesn't know.
I'm going to ask her if she means the original Twister,
Good
because they've
music
had the
in.
new one with Glenn Powell.
I love the music in that one. But I was thinking, and I'm going to keep this on number one. I'm not going to put it in another category. Besides My Best Friend's Wedding, then that makes me. And there's a lot of rom coms like that, and I don't really have another rom com. Well, I kind of do, but that it's a category on itself. Anyway, with it, I'm going to say Pretty Woman. Pretty Woman's a classic. And it's Julia Roberts again. So that's the Julia Roberts line. That's something I found out about myself. There's certain characters that I really like. So I like a good Julia Roberts movie.
It's interesting about rom coms, and we've talked about this with Chris Moore, how rom coms are harder to find these days. People aren't making them as much as they used to. So, we talk about with music in some movies, like they take us back, and it reminds us of a certain time in our life. Well, with rom coms, it really does that because that was kind of the heyday of rom coms because rom coms were all over the place back in
Right.
the 80s, but whereas now,
And that's when they were better. They were the best back then.
yeah, and part of it was because, and now granted, that was early Julie Roberts. She was just beginning to become somebody. Like Pretty Woman was like what made her really blow up. So it wasn't like she'd been around for 10 years at the time. So,
Yeah.
those were actors and actresses who were early on in their careers. But, you know, and you think of ones like, what's it, Sleepless in Seattle or When Harry Met Sally with Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan. They've been established. Both of them had been around for a while, but yet they're, if you were just to ask people to name their favorite rom coms, they're among those.
But I like the connection more with like a Julia Roberts and Richard Gere or Julia Roberts and my Dylan Mulroney
Dermot
guy. I like
Mulroney.
that chemistry better than the blonde girl chemistry. I like the dark girl chemistry.
Teresa says there were no John Bon Jovi songs in either of those movies,
That's your guy. I
but
thought
there
that.
were some cool musical moments.
All right, there you go. That's one for
Right.
me.
So my first two are also kind of a double
Wait,
duo.
that was in category one. That was one. That was number one slot. I snuck a second one. So you're allowed to do that, Jay. You can. We're gonna say 10 movies, but you can sneak another one in there.
Yeah. Well, my first two kind of they're one's literally the sequel to the other ones, and I know you probably know what I'm going to say, but the whole Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame,
I got that too. I
they
got
kind
that
of
too.
go back and forth. And I tell you, Kathy,
We both hit that.
I've talked about this a lot. How I never, when I was younger as a kid, I was never a comic book person. But
Me
when
neither.
the whole Marvel, when they started with all this, I didn't know anything about Captain America. I didn't know anything about. I didn't know them as characters at all. I was introduced to them through the movies. That was my first experience with those characters. But the way that Marvel kind of had all these separate entities of individual characters, and they bring them together as the Avengers. And I tell you, Infinity War, and I think I've said this before, is one of only three movies that I went back multiple times to the theaters to watch. And that era, Phase Four, I think it was, of Marvel, there was nothing better for audience reactions. Like just like the audience
Yeah.
was very vocal about whatever was going on in the screen. And Infinity War had some incredible audience reactions for negative reasons towards the end. And the main reason I went back and watched it the second time was to watch the audience reactions. Like I was excited, like I was looking around because I knew it was going to happen. I was watching the people around to see how they were going to react, and kind of the same thing with Endgame. But I didn't.
Mhm.
I didn't go back a second time for Endgame. Has the last hour of Endgame is the most, you know how do I describe this? It's so satisfying, but yet it's so heart wrenching. You've got all the people coming back, and they finally defeat Thanos, but then Iron Man. Spoiler alert for the one person that in the world that may have not have seen these movies. Iron Man dies, and they have Iron Man's funeral at the end. So there's all of
2019.
that the last hour. The year riding an emotional roller coaster.
2019. It started the end of civilization, literally. You should. I'll tell you what, Jay. You would enjoy what I'm going to say right now. My Dylan, wrote a paper, and he had a conversation with Chris Moore about who's better. And maybe it wasn't exactly who's better, but it might have been who's better, DC or Marvel. So he interviewed Chris, and then he did a lot of work on his own as well. And then he did a paper. it's really interesting. You would totally nerd out on this paper, but we should get Dylan and Chris on a podcast and have them talk it through of
Yeah,
what they talked about in that paper because it's very interesting. And Chris has some very, Dylan had asked him a series of questions and, information that I've never heard before on, why Marvel did this and why that probably worked with that. And it would be a fun episode to do, really.
for sure.
So, but I agree with you. I'm right there with Avengers. I loved it. And I'm not necessarily, what I've learned about myself through this list is I'm not necessarily an action movie girl. Like, you're not going to see the Mission Impossibles and Indiana Jones on here, although I like them. But I don't need the action, the crash, the whatever. But I love the Avengers movies because I love those characters. Like, those characters mean something to me. And out of all the spin offs, with my Avenger category here is Iron Man. I love Iron Man. I would go watch any of those Iron Man movies over and over again.
But see, they didn't like those early. I saw them, but I wasn't like what really got like really well when they started doing the post credit scenes and they would bring another character to show up on the post credit scene. So you're like, oh, this is going to tie to something. Thor Ragnarok started for me. Civil War was really good in. You've got Captain America and Iron Man literally fighting to the death, and they're like the superheroes are split. Some are on one side, some are on the other, and that really dynamic of those two being at odds really sets up an extra layer when it comes to Infinity War and Endgame because you see in Endgame, you know, they have to like put those differences aside to try to save half the
Right.
people in the universe. So there's that whole thing. Yeah, it's just it's just the whole idea to like have these individual characters and then bring them together.
Yeah.
I think it was genius because it was like you almost had to go watch these other individual movies to get part of the script to what was coming when they came together. And from a marketing strategy, I mean, look, those two movies are number two and number three all time, or up there anyway for grossing at the box office. So yeah. So what's your next one?
All right. I'm going with series again. I'm a sequel girl. I'm a darn sequel girl. And it's the Harry Potter series. It's the Harry
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Potters. Do you have Potter on your list?
I do not, but that it very easily could have been.
Again, it's characters. Just fell in love with all them. And I remember when we watched the last Potter, actually no, it was the book when Marty was done reading the books because he did that before all the movies came out. He's like, I feel like I lost my best friend Harry Potter. So, you know, we really enjoyed those movies a lot. Any of these, well, you could watch as a family. Some of these movies came out so darn long ago. Some of my kids were younger then, right? So I really enjoyed movies that we could watch as a family to have a family experience.
What I really appreciated
I
about
still like family movies. I don't care
yeah,
how old I am.
Harry Potter, the whole Harry Potter series and the whole Lord of the Rings series could have easily been on my list.
I never saw Lord of the Rings. Isn't that
Kathy,
crazy?
it's
I know. I need to.
and I think what they both have in common is I believe that each movie got better as they went along. Normally sequels, and how many Harry Potter movies were there? Like seven or
Seven?
eight? Yeah, I think they got better and better as they went along because there was especially when they like started to like figure out this path in order to defeat Voldemort. So
Yeah.
it was like their yellow brick road. They were going on this, so and with the Lord of the Rings, there's two trilogies. There's the Lord of the Rings, and then there's the Hobbit, and each one of them has three movies in them. And I think each of them, I think I think the Return of the King, and Chris Moore says he watches that all the time. Like him and his son will have watched it 100 million times.
That's part of the Lord of the Rings series.
Yes, they're so good. It's
Who produced those? Do you know?
Peter Jackson was the director. It was filmed mostly in New Zealand, although I mean they filmed other places. But
Or is it it's not through any of the major
it's from a
companies?
really old book series from Tolkien. J.R.R. Tolkien was the
Mm,
author of the books from like way back. It wasn't like
got
J.K. Rowling who wrote pretty modern books that became Harry Potter. These are very old books. It's kind of a cross between Game of Thrones and Harry Potter. There's magic,
Okay.
there's dragons and wizards and elves, and there are the cast is really good.
We're all fascinated by those things you just said, right? We're
The
all fascinated by those kind of
scenery
stuff.
because it's filmed in like all the outdoor scene, all the
Yeah.
exterior scenes are is New Zealand. So it's New Zealand mountains and beautifully shot. Just it's this literally the Lord of the Rings trilogy is literally a quest to defeat the bad guy. Like Sauron is the Thanos of that series. And then they do a prequel of three of The Hobbit and like, that whole part of it. So yeah, just really well
I'm
done.
making a little list for myself. Making a little list. Obviously not in 2025 because there's way too much
Yeah.
good stuff coming out. I'm so excited. I can't stand it. All right, go.
But my next one is completely different than the first two, but I've talked about this a lot. And it has the most satisfying ending of any movie. I could watch the ending of this movie,
What you got?
and I have literally hundreds of times. A Few Good Men,
Uh,
Jack Nicholson, Tom Cruise, Kevin Bacon, Demi
so
Moore.
long. I don't even remember.
Oh my gosh, you can't handle the truth. That whole
Yeah,
like Jack Nicholson plays the bad guy. He's the villain, and
I just can't remember that movie.
he gets his at the end. And man, it is so. Oh my gosh, it's like it is like the most satisfying ending of all endings. It just is. I could watch just the ending, just like the last 30 to 45 minutes of that movie. And believe me, I have. I've gone back and got the clips. It just, yeah. I'm kind of a little bit of a sucker for courtroom movies, and I've got two other ones that kind of surprised me when I made this list. A Few Good Men did surprise me because besides The Wizard of Oz, A Few Good Men is number two probably for a movie that I've seen the most times behind The Wizard of
Mhm.
Oz. Only because I started watching The Wizard of Oz when I was so young.
Okay,
I've probably seen it second most. Yeah.
all
So
right.
what's your next one?
Wonder if Teresa's still listening to us. She'll like this. She'll laugh if she's still watching. So the next one, I can watch this all the time. I can be in a bad mood. I could not feel good, whatever, and I can go in my bed and pull the covers up and watch this all by myself and smile. 13 going on 30.
Yeah,
I love that
I like
movie.
that. Yeah, it's another feel good movie.
I love Jennifer Garner. She's another girl. She's another,
It's not really a rom com, but it's in that vein, kind of a little bit. Yeah,
and I love Mark Ruffalo in that movie. And I love that she really did get the guy in the end.
yeah.
And
So I guess it kind of is a rom com, really.
she loved Rick Springfield. That's
Yeah,
another plus. And I love Jennifer Garner. I could watch that movie
and the
over and
Thriller
over.
dance when they do the Thriller dance.
Well, the thriller dance, I know. She does the best thriller dance. Like, I want to learn it from her. She can do it. And she's so adorable. That's just a good movie. It has a good soundtrack. Yeah. What you got?
So my next one, and I just mentioned it, The Wizard of Oz. I know it's
Really?
yeah. I will watch that when it comes on, or it just even at
I,
my age, the music still. I'll sing
the
along to
original,
music.
the original one?
Yeah,
Look, I am still traumatized from it from a child. I
yeah.
know that I've resolved my trauma. I told you I went to see the Broadway play and I realized why she was so dang mean, but I still have trauma from the original Wizard of Oz. That old what's her name? What's her name? The
Margaret
Mac
Hamilton.
I can't. I cannot do her.
Yeah, I
She's
think that
the
was probably Cathy
witchiest person ever to play
when I
that.
was little. Like when I first watched it, I'm sure I was afraid of the Wicked Witch and the Flying Monkeys both.
The
But
monkeys were awful.
as I got a little bit older, I just it's just music is just so fun. It just I mean, I can almost like do the whole dialogue, even like the non-singing parts.
I wonder when it was. Do you remember when it was on? Because literally, it was
1939 was when it was
no. I
released.
mean, it came out because me and Jay are so dang old that we didn't have like video players or whatever. So we had to wait for it to come on TV. But it came on once a year at the same time, and I don't know the significance
It
of
was
that.
always fall. Sometime in the fall, it would come on. Yeah.
And I remember my parents made root beer floats. Why the heck they made that when we watched that? And I'm like, I hate this movie. I hate this movie. I hate this movie.
What was cool about that? Now, by the time we saw it, probably we probably saw it in the 70s because we're that
Yeah.
old. But it was made. It was made in 1939. Like color did not become a regular thing in TV and movies till the 50s. So to think about the second half of that movie is color in 1939. And that plays such a big part in like the presentation of the movie that like when her house falls on Munchkinland and she's in her house, she's like, oh, she literally goes and she bounces on the bed and she like looks around and it's black and white. And when she opens the door, it's color outside. Like
You
that's
know what I'm
genius.
sad about? This is related but a little off. Is I don't know if you'd ever gone to Disney, but they
It's been a
had
long time. Yes.
they had the MGM. I don't even know what it's called. It's called Hollywood Studios now, I think. But it was called MGM for a while. Might have been something else before that. But they had so much detail and attention to movies and how you made movies. They had this great movie ride, and Wizard of Oz was in that. They've really gone away from all that, but I think that's sad because it was fun to go through movie sets. They had a backstage movie tour. You saw how stunts were made, and I don't know why they really got away from that. But it just makes you think about how we've had these conversations about people not going to theaters and things. So, but I think it's fun to know how things are made.
And if you think about it, Kathy, and look, when we're 8, 10 years old watching Wizard of Oz, we're not paying attention to this part. But if you think about it, you've got a character that doesn't have a heart, you've got a character that doesn't have a brain, you've got a character that doesn't have courage. That kind of is in the 1939 way of representing like diversity. Here's all these people that have
Yeah.
these things that they are lacking, and they work together to try to figure it out. And it come to find out,
Maybe they self care.
come
Maybe
to
they
find
represent.
out, they go to the wizard, and he's like, "Oh, you've had these things all along. You just didn't realize it. It's been within you the whole time." And along that line, even at the end, when Dorothy's like, "I just want to get home," and the wizard says, "You could have
Sure.
gotten home all along. All you had to do is click your ruby slippers together." And he's like, "Oh, you could have gone home the whole time. It
It's
was within you
interesting.
the whole." And I use that to describe my journey because I'm like, yeah, what I was looking for all along, my way home, like Dorothy, metaphorically, was within me the whole time. I just had to find a way to click my ruby slippers together and get to the my home of
Find
peace. Yeah,
your own yellow brick road.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
so what's your next one?
All right, I'm back to sequel time. It's a Star Wars group. Do you have any Star? You're not a Star Wars fan, right?
I'm a medium. I'm like I'm so.
So I'm I'm going to say, I went to the movies and watched that original 1976, I think it was, Star
77.
Wars,
Yeah,
or 77. I remember sitting in there like,
yeah.
wow, like this is, and now when you look at the original, and I know they've spiced it up a bit, it's like, wow, that's so corny. Some of it.
But for 77, it was like visually, it was like
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
So here's another fact I found about myself when I'm doing this movie thing. Now, I mean, I'm a big Star Wars fan, huge Star Wars fan. I like sci-fi. If you'd have said before I made this list, do you like science fiction? I'd say, nope, I can't stand science fiction. I really do like science fiction.
Now, is it science fiction or is it fantasy? Because they're a little bit different. Because like Harry Potter's fantasy, Lord of the Rings would be, you know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
What would you call Star Wars?
Now, I would say it's a mixture of both because like space is anything space
So
related is
maybe
sci-fi.
well, even like our Stranger Things, that's a bit of sci-fi. So maybe I like a mixture of those two.
Yeah, and I would say Stranger Things is kind of, although it leans more towards sci-fi, it's got some fantasy in there with the whole the upside down world. What's it called?
The Upside Down,
Yeah.
yes.
So there's kind of both, but yeah,
Yeah, so anyway, anything Star Wars is amazing. Now, I wasn't into the Clone Wars, and they made those original first three that eventually came.
which were
They
actually
reversed the order, right?
they were yeah.
But I don't like the back. The ones that they claim are like the Clone Wars and those kind of things. I have trouble getting into that. But anyway, I like the OGs. I like the OG characters. All right.
My next one is, and this the theme of this movie is definitely a theme that I watch a lot, and kind of it's the underdog theme. I will root for an underdog all day long, and it's
Hmm.
Braveheart, Mel Gibson.
I've never seen it.
It's based on real. It's loosely based on people that really existed. You know, William Wallace was really someone who existed, and was kind of basically based loosely on kind of events that did happen historically. I don't normally like movies or television that is set way back in history that I
Mhm,
have
mhm.
zero
Yeah.
little interest in. Typically,
Me too, sort of.
this is the only one that is set way back like that
Mhm.
because it's has such a powerful number one. I do like historical things, and it's historically based, but the whole the underdog, that is the main theme of the movie. It's the underdog, the British royalty wanted to take over all the lands, and the people that were quote unquote just the regular folk were fighting that. And Willie Wallace brings all the regular folk together to rise up against the king at the time, and there's all that. There's this love story, and they I won't give it away. It's
Yeah.
just that's another one where I'll watch it if I see it again. So yeah, and I had kind of forgotten how much I liked it. That was one of the things that surprised me about making this list was a lot of these ones I don't think I've ever even mentioned on the podcast as much as we talk about movies.
I know.
So what's your
Alright.
next one?
You ready? Alright. E.T.
Yeah.
Did you watch E.T.? You
I
watched E.T.?
loved ET. Loved
You like
ET. It was a little
I
scary
guess
to
that's
me, like when he would get upset and his neck would raise up. That was a little creepy to me.
I
But it's
loved E.T.
so
My brothers
Drew Barrymore was as a kid, you know,
Yeah.
falls in love with ET, and he becomes. They hide him in the closet, and the parents don't know for a while, and that he makes the bike fly. He wobbles along, and ET phone
You know
home, and Elliot.
mhm. Yeah. Then
Reese's
then,
Pieces.
Neil Diamond sang "Turn on Your Heart Light."
Yeah.
They're such good
Everybody was eating Reese's Pieces for the long time because that's what they were feeding him in the closet.
and we did fall in love with Drew Barrymore more in that movie. It was a
Yeah.
good movie. Such a good movie. I liked
That's
E.T.
Steven Spielberg, one of his many fantastic movies. So my next one is
Yeah.
my favorite sequel of all time. It's
Okay.
the second one on this list that I went back multiple times. It's the movie that I have gone to the movies the most. I went back 3 times and watched this one, Top Gun Maverick.
Oh, that's right. I remember you saying that.
Best
Yeah.
sequel. I mean, Top Gun was such an iconic movie, and they waited however long they waited, many decades to do the sequel. It was perfect. I mean, you're right. It was like watching a Ted Lasso episode. You felt every emotion. It was up and down. It was perfectly done. Just a great
And
music.
he's really say what you want about Tom Cruise. He's still, he's fit. He still looks good. He still got it.
Yeah, he's still a movie star now. Just back
He
like
really
it
is.
was. The
And it's
original was there
hard
in
to hold it.
1986 was when the original came out, and I guess this would have been I don't know 3 or 4 years ago was Top Gun Mavericks. You know, over 20 some years, almost 20 years for the
Right?
that's
And who played Goose's son?
Miles Teller.
Yes, he did such a good job.
Yep. And
He
Jennifer
really
Connelly played his new love interest. Val
Yeah.
Kilmer was in it very briefly,
Yeah.
but his character dies.
Which is kind of cool that he got into that
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, it was just so well done. It introduced well, it was kind of one of the 2 movies that introduced Glenn Powell. He was also in Anyone But You, the rom com with Sydney Sweeney.
Right.
Between that and the Top Gun, that's when Glenn Powell blew up. Monica
Yeah.
Barbaro has really blown up since then. She was in the Bob Dylan movie, and she did a really good job. She's filming a big movie now.
I want to see that. I never saw that Bob
Yeah,
Dylan movie.
that's good. Bob Dylan was he was not a nice guy at all. At least
Who
that's how he
did
was.
that? Was it Timothy Chalamet that did that?
Yes,
Him played
yeah,
him.
and he did very well. Like acting wise, he did well. Ed Norton is in it also. Monica Barbaro. There's a couple others. Yeah. So
Yeah,
what's your next
that's
one?
fair. All right, I'm back to sequels again. You got to tell me you love this. Marty McFly. Gotta love Back to the Future, right?
I
The
liked
original will
Back to
always
the
be
Future.
better.
It was a it, I really liked it a lot at the time, just because it was time travel. It was just
It's a
kind of
classic in
cool
my
and
house.
fun, and had a lot
Everybody
of.
likes McFly.
It was cool how they try to represent what the future would look like with the floating skateboards and all that kind of stuff. That was cool. But I tell you, I got to say, Kathy, for me, I liked it a lot at the time, but it hasn't held up over time for me. Like I wouldn't watch it now if it was on. It just, you know, it was kind of
We
age
do.
specific. I enjoyed it at that age that it came out, but it doesn't really do much for me now. I mean, you
Throw
got
it
kids, it's
play.
different, yeah.
Yeah, we really like we'll watch Back to the Future anytime. Yeah, we like some Marty McFly.
That was
It's
kind
just
of Michael J.
good
Fox
old.
had been doing Family Ties forever, and that was kind of what he was known for. And then he comes out and does that blockbuster. I mean, it was 1985's biggest grossing movie, as we talked about in the trivia.
Yeah, and anytime you can have the '80s come in, it's gonna resonate for me.
Yeah, but I definitely liked it a lot at the time. I kind of had a little bit of a crush on Leah Thompson,
Oh yeah,
who played his mom.
yeah.
She was in a couple other ones. She was in a couple other movies that I liked. So my
And
next
she
one
got nice.
is the third movie that I went back multiple times and watched. And it's A Man Called Otto with Tom Hanks.
You put that on your list,
Yep,
huh?
I liked it so much, Kathy. It's heavy. It's very
It's very heavy.
yeah. I mean,
I like the movie, but it didn't make my top 10. I liked it.
yeah. It's heavy, but yet at the same time, it's very it starts heavy and transitions into heartwarming as it goes, and the heavy kind of fades because this character kind of sorts some things out. He's going through a lot, and he develops this relationship with his neighbor across the street, teaches her how to drive. She literally and figuratively saves his life, and then once that's kind of established, like he lives the rest of his days very happy. He kind of incorporates that neighbor family, like makes him part of their family, like legit, and they were strangers at the time, and so what is a very serious and heavy topic for half the movie, the other half is very heartwarming and very like that's the ending we want for how that movie started. We want to, and it had a happy ending based on how it started. I like that, and it's just yeah,
I like it. All right,
yep,
ready?
yep,
This is a classic, and it's gonna go back into what you'd probably guess I would like: The Breakfast Club.
oh yeah. I just watched that. I watched someone's reaction video to it, and someone that was like in their 20s who had never seen it. It's a whole different generation. They loved it. We're talking somebody in their 20s that's watching it for the first time. They were asking a lot of questions. They're like, "What's this music?" And I mean, we love the music because music is kind of part of what made the movie.
Yeah,
But it's just, again, it's kind of like the Wizard of Oz. You had all these diverse characters that are in detention on a Saturday at the school, and at first they are at odds. They're so different from each other. They do not like each other. You got one guy that's just like, yeah, you got like a part of every clique that you would think 1985 high school would have been is on in detention, represented in that at that time.
right. And they just learned so much by being in that detention.
Yep.
Such a good movie.
They ended up being friends. You had two of them ended up dating. It's just yeah, really good stuff. So my next one is the Shawshank Redemption.
Okay, I don't think I've seen it.
Kathy, you're disappointing me. There's a lot of like classic movies that you haven't
I
seen.
mean,
It is early Morgan Freeman, Timothy Robbins. It's really an underdog story as well. Timothy Robbins. Is it Timothy Robbins? Yes.
it's a serious heavy action movie, right?
No, it's not action. It's a prison movie. This guy is falsely found guilty of something, and I don't really remember what it was. So he's in jail in prison, and it's set back in like the 50s and 60s. Back it's set back a little bit in time, but he comes to befriend Morgan Freeman's character, and kind of the warden is like the bad guy, and he really puts one over on the warden, and he ends up escaping, and there's a lot of kind of stories that are kind of intertwined. He's trying to deal with being in jail he's falsely convicted, and he's in prison with all these people that were really murderers and thieves and all this kind of stuff. Because he even says to Morgan Freeman's character, he's like, I was innocent. And Morgan Freeman laughs at him and says, he's like, yeah, we're all innocent. Like, like, yeah, I've heard that before. But he actually was. But he ends up, the underdog ends up winning out in the end. It's just well done.
Nice. I know a lot of people like that. All right, for me next,
Yep.
I really like the message in the live action Cinderella. They turned some of the Disney movies into
Yeah.
live action.
I'm trying to remember. I think I did see it. I don't remember the actress that played Cinderella.
It wasn't she, was she Lily Collins? Was it Lily
Yes.
Collins?
Yep. It was Lily Collins. Yes. Phil Collins' daughter.
I just liked that movie. I liked some of the messages in that movie.
I think I watched it. I mean, just the whole vibe of Cinderella, the story as we know it, just
Well, and the cool thing I think I liked about that movie, just because it's just stands a test of time too, but um, just how people can be so mean. Obviously, the stepsisters and the stepmom and all, but she really was so grateful and so positive, and how she could just have patience for them because they don't know any better. I mean, she literally puts it in the best mind frame. So I feel like
she has so much grace for the stepsisters.
it takes a classic movie and brings it into real time and really teaches us a good lesson on people absolutely can be rotten out there, and how do you just spin it, and be happy. So I love the message in that movie. And then I was thinking along that lines, the live action, like I like the Beauty and the Beast live action as well, and I like Enchanted, which not wasn't really a previous movie, but it took some of the concepts of both. I don't know if you saw that. Did you see Enchanted? It took it took
Maybe.
some of it was cartoon and some of it was live action. More of it was like a live action, but I thought it was an interesting spin how they took the cartoon universe and sort of some spins on classic stories
Yeah.
and made it modern day stories. So I kind of like those kind of themed movies.
It's funny. Speaking of live action, the one that I watched fairly recently that I really, really liked, and I was pleasantly surprised. Excuse me. How to Train Your Dragon.
I did not see that one. I did not see that. I should see that.
Now, the original animated
I
had
saw
two
the
parts.
original.
Well, there was two of them, the originals. There was the first one and
Right.
part two, and it's funny. Gerard Butler was the voice of the leader of the pack in the
Right.
animated, and he was actually playing
And
himself.
I think I remember
He
that.
was the same character, which was cool.
Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised. It was actually pretty good. So my next one is going to really shock you.
Okay.
And as I was writing this list, I kind of wanted to write different types of movies. This one, I love history, and I love World War
You
II.
still want to watch movies from history?
Well,
Is that what
I can't watch them from way back.
you like? You
But, but
Western.
but I love historical documentaries, something where I'm learning something that like really happened. And this is one of those movies. I'm a big World War II
Are
history
you? So is
history buff
Brennan.
and fan, and so the movie called Midway, which is about the Battle of Midway against the Japanese in World War II. But it's got that underdog thing. Basically, just real quick, the Americans and the Japanese they've been fighting for a while, and they fought in the Battle of Coral Sea, and it was kind of a draw. The Japanese had lost some ships, and the U.S. had lost some ships, but the USS Yorktown was like barely afloat. They had to tow her back from the Coral Sea all the way back to Pearl Harbor. In the meantime, code breakers had broken the Japanese code and had found out that the Japanese were going to invade Midway Island, which is just a little bit north of Hawaii, because it's literally a airfield, literally midway between Asia and the United States. So that's why it's called Midway Island, because they wanted that strategic base, but the U.S. knew they were coming. The Japanese didn't know that we knew they were coming. So the Japanese tried to trick us into thinking they were going to attack through Alaska. They actually did some small attacks on the Alaskan islands to fake us out. But their main force went to Midway. We had we were down to two working aircraft carriers, and the Yorktown, which would have normally taken 6 months to repair, we turned it around in 3 days. We did 6 months worth of work in 3 days and was able to make it the third aircraft carrier. And we basically hid on the other side of the island where their radar couldn't see us. Their scout
Mhm.
planes weren't even looking for us. They were just scouting the island. So we were sending planes. Anyway, long story short, we surprised them. They didn't realize we had enough. The Yorktown was going to be back in service. They didn't know that we were even ready. We ended up sinking four of their carriers. The Yorktown, unfortunately, did get sunk, but it was only one of ours. Their four main aircraft carriers were sunk. That changed the whole war. That literally turned the war in our favor because they didn't really have any aircraft carriers left. But anyway, I just it's got some big time actors in it, Charlton Heston, and
Mhm.
just
So
I
it is
mean
classic. You say
big
that
time
name.
actors for that period of time. It was probably made in the 70s or 80s. It was filmed, and they actually did a new one, like a newer version, probably 10 years ago, maybe. It had Josh Hartnett and Nick Jonas was in it, and some
Mhm.
more modern actors. They did a remake of it, but I know what happens. I just love that whole how we broke their code and we surprised them, and that literally that one specific battle won the war in the Pacific for us because we were
Yeah.
like our industrial machine was really starting to really power up because of the war, and the Japanese didn't have the resources, so they were losing all these ships, and we were actually building ships at like this crazy rate. So we were throwing new aircraft carriers into the battle all the time, and they were losing them. So, and Midway turned the tide of literally the whole battle in the Pacific. It basically won the war for us out in the Pacific because there's the European part of World War II and then there's the Pacific part of World War II. That battle won. I just love that specific battle. Yeah, so I'll watch that. It's been a long time since I've watched it though.
You'll be watching it again.
I will.
Right. Now, I'm on 10. I'm on the 10th
Yeah, go
line.
ahead because we're almost time to flip
So
topics. In.
I'm in the Disney animation period now. So Toy Story is the first one that I listed, but then I was like, okay, what else do I like out of all them? And here's how I go: Toy Story, not in any order necessarily. Monsters Incorporated, Cars, Up. We love the movie Up. Have you seen Up?
Yeah, I probably have.
Up is such a good movie. And then I'll tell you another one you probably, I don't know that you've seen, Big Hero 6. Have you ever watched Big Hero 6? You would probably like that
Is it about a
animated one.
robot?
It is, but there's such a good message in that movie as well. Like the other ones are kind of everybody knows about those movies, but Big Hero 6 is a kid, and I think he lives with his no, he lives with his mom maybe or his sister. Mom or his sister. It's a broken family, but this robot really
A robot
becomes
family. Okay.
yeah, this but the robot really becomes meaningful to him. But it's a good feel good movie, and bad stuff happens too, and as it does in all those kind of movies. But you might enjoy that movie. I got a feeling that would be a movie you would like, Big Hero 6.
Disney Pixar has done a better job as time has gone on about taking an adult topic,
Yes.
presenting it so kids can understand it. Because look, if you're a minor, you have to have your parent bring you to the movies anyway. So the parents got to be there. They've done a really good job of entertaining the parents while entertaining the kids at the same time.
And when they figured that out, they got really smart. Well, and Toy Story is coming back out with Toy Story 5 in the next summer.
I'm trying to think of the newest one, where the robot gets lost in nature and he ends up befriending all the animals. What was that movie? I even told you, I'm like, Kathy, that's going to be a classic when it came out. I can't. I'm watching our Facebook feed, so I can't find it, but
You can't look it up.
it was so good. Shockingly good. But I
So
should have
those
been
are
surprised because Inside Out and Inside Out 2 were both so good.
yeah, that's and I know I gotta watch Inside Out too. That's another one. I gotta write it down.
So my last two, real quick, and they're both kind of the same type of movie: A Time to Kill and My Cousin Vinny. two different, completely different types of courtroom movies. My cousin's good as a
That's
comedy, kind of an underdog, but nobody thinks he can do the job. He's hired his cousin Ralph Macchio hires him to be his lawyer.
yeah,
He has no idea what he's doing. And Marissa Tomei is his girlfriend, and she's trying to help him, and he won't let her help him. But yet he figures it out. He learns how to be a good lawyer, and he wins the case for the Karate Kid.
for the crowd again.
Now, The Time to Kill is very heavy. Matthew McConaughey,
I
very
don't. I
early,
never saw
early Matthew McConaughey, and you can tell because Samuel L. Jackson even looks fairly young. He is the person on trial. Sandra Bullock, it was one of her first movies. She's in it. Donald Sutherland. It's from a book. It's based in the '60s and South of the '60s, so you can imagine very racial tension. Just yeah, it's heavy, but yet there's some really some learning moments where people's eyes get opened, and it's one of those not quite as. I mean, I guess it's heavy in a different way than A Man Called Otto, but it's very heavy at the beginning. Very sad, tragic story on how Samuel L. Jackson's character ends up going to jail, but yet he ends up being acquitted because of the circumstances surrounding everything. So yeah, two different, both courtroom dramas, but
that. That's
different.
funny.
One's a like straight out comedy. The other one's not
Yeah,
at all. The other one's very serious, but yet both entertaining. So yeah, I had three courtroom dramas, and I would have never
that's
thought
funny.
that out of 11 that I had. Yeah, um, I could have named so many more, but so
That's
let's
fun though. It's
transition.
fun to stop and think of
Yeah,
what you like.
yeah. Let's transition real quick. Speaking of, kind of staying on the movies to our music and movie trivia section.
Well, yeah, yeah. Okay, so mine is because I was talking about rom-coms. What is the biggest grossing today of rom-com movies? That has made biggest grossing in the box
Yep.
office to date. It wasn't one I thought it would be.
Yeah. Why do I think like I heard or saw this somewhere not too long ago? It's funny because the ones I think are real famous are so old that it would have been before there would have been as many people going to the movies. So, I'm just gonna I'm just gonna say Sleepless in Seattle, but I don't think that's it.
Sleepless in Seattle was there, but that's not it. It's My Big Fat Greek Wedding. I never would have thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought that.
Yep. Yeah, that was on my list of. It was made for such a little amount of money, but it made so it was like it made. I don't remember what the number was, but it was if you compare how much it cost to make the movie and what they made, it was
Right.
in the top three of the biggest difference between those two numbers of all time.
People like the movie. It would, yeah. But I mean, all the classics are on there
That's
for goodness
another kind of
sakes.
family slash comedy.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like that movie.
yeah.
They had a sequel. They didn't have a sequel or two sequels, maybe.
Maybe two. I don't think seen any other than the original, which I did like. No reason I didn't.
Nia what I can't pronounce her last name, but she's actually Greek. Um, yeah, yep.
What you got for me?
So my question is, and it's along the Christmas music theme
Mm,
since I'm now into the Christmas music. What is the most covered Christmas song of all time? I would not have guessed it. I would have gotten this wrong if it had been asked to me because I would have. And matter of fact, the one I thought is not even in the top three.
dang, Jay. It's a historical. It's like a classic.
Oh, for sure. The top three are about as classic as you can get.
I'm thinking of one, but I don't know why I can't think of its name right now. I'm sitting here singing the song in my head.
And the top two are pretty close, and then it drops off quite a bit to number three.
So can I say like the line?
Just say a lyric. If the lyric's right, then you get it correct, then you get it right.
Okay, the song that starts out "Chestnuts roasting on an
That's
open
called the
fire."
Christmas song. That's not it.
The Christmas song. It's not it. All right.
That's
So I get one
actually
more here.
that's actually one of my favorite traditional Christmas songs. I love the Nat King Cole.
Rudolph. Rudolph.
No.
Okay, forget it. Go.
So number one is actually Silent Night.
Really?
Number two,
Uh,
very close behind number two is White Christmas.
really?
Yep. And number three is Jingle Bells.
Huh.
But you know what I thought it was before I looked it
Well,
up?
everyone, obviously. Which one?
I would have thought because even this year, in the little bit of time that I've been listening, I hear a lot of people sing Last Christmas, which we remember the George Michael kind of classic version of. I
Lamb.
hear everybody do this song. So I thought if it wasn't number one, it would be up there. It's not even in the top three. But yeah, I
Wow.
love it's the chestnuts roasting. It's called the Christmas song. That's the official title. And
I like the
I love
Williams.
that song.
Yeah.
Nat King Cole does my favorite version. Like love, love, love. Like there are traditional Christmas songs and there are spiritual Christmas
Yeah.
songs. But that in the traditional Christmas song category is my number one. White Christmas is probably number two, and then like Most Wonderful Time of the Year and Happy Holidays. The Andy Williams sings both of those.
I love the
Michael
Andy Williams.
Bublé sings both of those, does really good. They're like,
We should have a holiday Christmas music
well, maybe we'll do that like the last episode right before Christmas. And we'll talk about that, and we'll get one of your family
because
members to come on and talk about that.
there's different people that sing different songs that make them very different.
Yeah, I tend to lean most of the time to the traditional ones that I remember growing up hearing. Nat King Cole, Andy Williams, Johnny Mathis, Silver Bells is another really good. Like,
But you know what? I can't listen to those right now. I'm like, it's not time. I can't listen. Like they're like sacred. They gotta be like 2 or 3 weeks out. Like right now, I can go with the pop modern.
but I love Michael Bublé is kind of the more modern Christmas guy now. I love his version of a lot of things. I do
Yeah,
like
Bublé's great.
Ingrid Michaelson does a version of All I Want for Christmas Is You, and it's completely different than the Mariah Carey one that we grew up on. But it's my favorite version, and it's like only like 2 or 3 years old, and it's so good. And there are actually some brand new songs that like the new up and coming. Sabrina Carpenter's got a couple brand new ones out that I heard for the first time this year that I really like. Yeah, it's just, but that works for me. Like a new artist doing a brand new song that's they've
It's
someone's
hard
just
to
written.
get. That's a hard to have
Kelly
in this
Clarkson
day.
kind of she does a lot of Christmas music. Yeah, she's real. I like her stuff. But yeah, Silent Night, White Christmas, and Jingle Bells, and the top
Yeah,
two
I
are
wish.
really close, and it drops off quite a bit for Jingle Bells. So
Interesting.
yeah. And as far as what we've been watching lately, I told you before we popped on, I've been watching. Yesterday, I watched 8 straight episodes until 1 o'clock in
What's
the
it called?
morning. It's called it's called All Her Fault.
Oh boy.
It's on Peacock. It's a mystery thriller. It's got Sarah Snook, who was the main one of the main characters, the daughter in the show Succession, which I love that show. Dakota Fanning plays her good friend, and Michael Pena plays the detective who's trying to figure out this mystery. So, just in a nutshell, without giving too much away, because you can actually see the previews for this that show this. Sarah Snook, her son is abducted. She she her son is supposed to go on a play date with another one of the other mothers from school. She goes to pick her up. Come to find out that was all fake. The text was faked. It wasn't her. She tries to So this web of they're trying to figure out where this little boy is and what happened to him. And meanwhile, you're discovering that Sarah Snook and her husband's sister and her husband's brother have this hugely dysfunctional history. They dive into that because it's all connected to why this whole thing happens in the first place. And then Dakota Fanning's character, which is Sarah Snook's, turns out to be her best friend in the movie. She has this side thing, although her story isn't connected to the little boy going missing. That whole thing, and there's dysfunction there. The cool thing is like I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be about a little boy that gets abducted and they're trying to figure out what happened, find him, whatever. And it is about that. But all of a sudden, the dysfunction in this one specific family, we come to find out that it plays a part. It played a part for many years ago in why this little boy was abducted now, and that becomes just as much of the story. And I don't want to give too much away about. So it's you think you figure out who did it because they'll start pointing in one direction, and they're swerving you like, nope, it wasn't them, or and then you see the detective. He's starting to figure out the things. Like the family's so dysfunctional, they're finding out things on their own that can help solve the case, but they're so afraid to tell the police because there's these other ramifications from something else that they don't want to have the police involved in. It's it's so it's so deep and so like I love a mystery because every time I thought I was starting to figure it out,
Switch.
that one person would have an alibi and it would be something else. Yeah, it becomes as much about the dysfunctional family and how that's involved in the little boy being abducted than it
Yeah.
was about the abduction itself. And I don't want to give too much away. Like it, you talk about like every episode leaves you on the edge of your seat. That's why,
Yeah.
like, granted, I took breaks and I ate dinner in between and did stuff like that, but
Hmm.
I literally watched all 8 episodes right back to back to back to back till 1 o'clock in the morning. One of my top streaming, and it's made for streaming. It's made for Peacock. One of my
Hmm.
favorite streaming series I've ever seen. One of the
Wow.
top five. Loved it. It's eight episodes, and they're like right around an hour each episode. But it's on Peacock. It's actually number one on Peacock right now.
Oh,
So
wow. Okay.
yeah, so good.
I haven't watched anything new. I'm still catching up on Stranger Things,
Well, the good
which
thing
I
is this weekend we'll have Wicked to talk about if you can get tickets.
know. I'm gonna get them. I'm
So
getting
you
them
better
now.
you better get on the ball because
I might be up front with my face all
or you might have to go
Monday.
Sunday or during the day or something. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true too. But we'll figure it out. I'm gonna get there.
All
Yeah.
right, guys. Well, we hope you enjoyed listening to Cathy and I talk about our favorite movies. We're glad to hear Teresa chime in with some of her favorites.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time on Eastern Short Talk. Take care, guys.